All right. Okay, hold on. Okay. Oh, all right. So, good morning to, and welcome to yet another episode of Red Stone Lapis Lazuli. It is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo, and let's get into it. Eh? All right, I'm gonna click on the window, see what that does. Okay, still here. Back to it. All right. We're in like Flynn. All right. Yes. What is this? This looks like a standard-ish train station, right? Standard-ish train station. Where does it go? Where is it? Okay, let's get our bearings, right? So check it out. We're in my storage room, and it's just this little hall off to the side. That's all. Just this little hall. That's all. In fact, I should probably get rid of this. Oh wait, I can't, because that's I mean, I could. All I have to do is put carpet there. Anyways, anyways, which I don't have, but I can fix it later. All right, hey, what's up? Let's get on this. Let's just get on. Let's find out where does it go? Where does it go? Where does it go? Where are we going? So, Destiny. We're in the new year. We're in the new year. Okay. Oh, check it out. So, it goes to this station. It's an orange station. It's pretty orange, right? So I put in orange carpet to hide the hoppers. But it's an orange station. But I think it's gonna change over time. Change to blue over time. Yeah. What else do I got going on? So I made this spiffy little way, right? Because I got tired of running to the village when I want to make trades or whatever. I also finally did something with that elevated line there. I finally made another station here. This is to keep adults from walking in. It doesn't stop children, but it will stop adults. So, and it's easy enough to bring them back if I have to. If I have to. Don't make me. Okay. Where does that go? Whoa, it just goes back up there. That's all. That's all. Yeah, so that is to say I've done a lot, right? I mean, the holidays are over. The holidays were nice. It was a good time to reflect and to see what's going on. Huh. But like, time to get back to it, right? So it's your standard item sorter. I mean, like, this hasn't changed. What has changed is this down here. So I was full up on bones. It was just getting thrown away because there were so many bones. So I know Mojang added this new block called an auto crafter, and you can't and that's two of them down there smushed together. Like, it doesn't really make sense. I have to explain another way. It's just the warm-up. Come on. No. It doesn't make sense. Let me explain it another way. It can be told another way. Minecraft. So these right here are all different forms of an auto crafting machine. It's a machine that once you put in something, and it will process it for you. Process and will store it for you, so that you don't have to do anything. And each design has its own strengths and weaknesses. So this design is single file, right? Single space, single block, which is nice and tileable, but it has the problem of putting out an extra pulse in the beginning, so it could wreck your crafting. So these two these two are basically the same thing. They do the same thing, just with a slightly different circuit. This one is like a fantastic circuit, and this one is also a fantastic circuit, just a little bit bigger. Right, depending on your needs. Who knows what are your needs? Who knows? And then you have this guy, which is like a single tile, but or single wide, but not like tileable. Deal. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty nice too. And then there's this one, which is nice because you can just block off each one and it fires off a tick right away. It's like bam, right away. So, and it's really fast because it's a observer clock. So all I did was I took this thing here, and I set it to collect the bones, and it spits out bone meal. And it spits it out into this machine here. Direct, not even into the hopper, but directly into it. Right into it. Instead of a hopper, it's the machine like facing into it. And then this is the compactor, or not this one. I'm sorry, I used the wrong one. This one. This is the compactor. It fills up with all 9, and then it compacts it into even more. So it basically takes bones, turns it into bone meal, and then turns it into a bone block without me doing anything, which is fantastic. It saves space, and it removes me from having to do anything. Yay, it's already been done. It's built in. It's an investment that keeps on returning for a long, long time. So that's what this is. Yay! So do you understand now? I have the back half, which is the part that smushes the bones into bone meal, and it fires directly into the second half machine, except it's pointing downwards into a barrel instead of outward, and it still works. So that one just fills up with 8 and then, or 9, compresses it into a bone block, and then deposits the bone block in there. Fantastic. And I have gobs and gobs of bone blocks. I should build something with them. Who knows? But that's the point of Minecraft, is to hoard stuff. No, I don't know if that's the point. Part of my Christmas vacation was dealing with excess stuff. Okay. So yeah, the way the system works now is mobs are generated up there in the darkness because it's always dark up there, and the distance is set such a way as to like allow mobs to spawn in there, and then they fall into a trap. They fall off the edge on a trap and into water, and then they drop so far to weaken them so that I can easily kill them. And then their drops go into this hopper, which goes into this box, which goes to these hoppers, which goes to this dropper attached to this thing, which makes it spit out the items into this water, which go up this water elevator up above into this item sorter. This item sorter sorts them out into, which is like, yeah, right here, item sorter, which sorts them out into these things. But the bones, instead of goes into a box, which goes into that guy, which feeds into the auto sorter. Voila, and the rest is just either over here, or since this is full, it's gonna go in the trash. Yay. So here, let's see it in action. It's just spitting it out. It goes up there. Up that water elevator. Oop. Along its path. The bones go in there and light up the machine. I have 3 more. Watch. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Pretty standard stuff, right? Pretty standard. Okay. I have one more thing to show you. Yeah, I've been meaning to do this for like a long time, and I never did. So I finally got the chance. Whoa. This thing needs music, right? Ba, 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 ba. We need like music in the background or something. I don't know. Yay, right? Trans lives matter. Protect trans kids. Where did you even come from, Mr. Guy? Like, I designed this place specifically so you couldn't spawn. Maybe you spawned on that? Because there's no other way you could have gotten up. You must have spawned on that thing. Well, anyways, the point of covering everything in carpet is to stop zombie pigmen from spawning. So, I covered everything, almost everything, with carpet. If it's a solid block, I don't believe glowstones are solid blocks. They might be though, but I don't think so. No, because they can't really carry current, or they can't carry redstone signals. So anyways, yeah. Did this in support of trans people for their right to exist, free of harassment for being themselves. Okay. Let's see. What else is going on? Da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. I've been doing this show forever. And despite my years long of warning about how bad is Donald Trump, like, the vast majority of people don't hear me. No, or don't believe me. And I wouldn't say the vast majority, but like, there's a lot of people who have no idea. No idea. And so they make a decision, like, rashly. Not even rashly. Do I have that? The time? Maybe I didn't save it. Oh yeah. Da-da-da. So this is off of a CNN exit poll. So it's not perfect, right? It's an exit poll. It's not perfect, but this is what it came up with. When people decided, this is when people decided when they were going to vote for their candidate. And the majority of Trump voters voted for their candidate, and they decided in the last week or the last few days or before September. So I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. How can you either decide like within a few days, or like way back in the beginning. How does that happen? But that's what happened. Like a lot of Trump voters tuned out everything until the last second. So there's no way they could know about all the stuff going on because they just tuned it out. They just tuned it out. I think, yeah, I don't think they're telling the truth when they say they decided in the past few days. Or maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe I'm, because I have no. Why wouldn't they be, right? So, yeah. Why is it a big deal that Trump here? Oh, my frames per second options, video settings, extras, yeah. Why? Oh yeah, how I did this. Basically just doubled up because I was burning through a lot of I smelted a lot of stuff. So and I found that 8 was not enough. Oh yeah, also I got a mod, right? I got a mod that lets me click through the item frames, which makes sense. I'm like, why hasn't Mojang actually done this? This is like exactly the way you need it. Because like yeah, you can do that if you crouch, and yeah, I can like affect the item frame if I crouch. But if I'm not crouching, I can just click through it. That makes sense because like, yeah, I really like that. Because otherwise, like, I can't use. That's why I can't use signs or item frames before, because it would block the chest, and you have to click in these little tiny spaces in between. Like, this way, I can actually see what's in my boxes without having to like sit there clicking through 1,000 of them to figure out where I am. I really like this mod. What mod is this? I gotta check it out. Alright, I gotta look at it again. Options. Mods. Check out the mods I'm running, right? Look at all these mods I'm running. Click through plus. That's the one I'm using. But yeah, these are my mods. Okay. I probably don't need half of them. So, anyways. So yeah, great. Need some more coffee. So yeah, a lot of people, the people I'm trying to talk to, aren't even listening. They don't even listen to me. And this was kind of like verified by the people in my life. Just my family members, how they voted. I was like, man. Like, yeah. A lot of ruminations, right? Okay. So here's the thing. Like after this recent election, we had, or before this election, we had two generals, General Miley and General John Kelly, both U.S. generals, and they both said bad things about Donald Trump. They worked with him, and they're Republicans. They worked with him, and they came out of that and they said bad things about Donald Trump. And yet millions of people chose to ignore what the generals said. A court of law found Donald Trump guilty of fraud. But millions of people are choosing to ignore that. He's been found guilty of, or liable for defamation regarding sexual assault. And it doesn't, his followers do not care. The people who follow him do not care. Like, you can't say that about any Democratic leader. You can't say it about them. Right. So it's like, well, wait a minute. Who are the kind of people who votes for a guy like Donald Trump, who's basically a con man? He's essentially a con man. Who votes for a person like that, right? Like what? Like, is there something that binds them together? Is there something that connects them? What is the thing that what is the common thing? The common denominator. And you look at the exit polls, CNN exit polls by race, gender and race. So white men overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. And white women, by 3 points, voted for Donald Trump. And then you have Latino men, by 4 points, voting for Donald Trump. However, Latino men are a smaller percentage of American voters than are white men and women. So, though it's surprising that they would vote for Trump, they're not as their weight is not as significant as white men and white women, because white people are a bigger chunk of society than all the minorities together. Just the white people are bigger than all the other minorities, all of them, black, Latino, Native, Indian, like Arab, whatever, Jewish, whatever, it doesn't matter. White people are the biggest group, so they're the most significant in terms of like the changes of their voting habits. So when you look at it like that, it's like, and all other races, right, voted. So basically everyone except for Latino men voted for Harris, and white people with Latino men voted for Donald Trump. So it kind of looks like it's white people versus everyone else. And they got Latino men this time. But the question is, how much of that is well, so wait a minute. Before I get to Latino men. So if you looked at the Donald Trump campaign, it was filled with dog whistles and like bullhorns, racial bullhorns, and everything. You look at Donald Trump's cabinet now, and he pretty much stiffed every black American who helped him, who worked with him. Oh, what's this? Oh. So, oh, what was I saying? Yeah. So if you look at the Donald Trump campaign, it was filled with white supremacist overtones throughout the whole thing. The whole thing. I was speaking with someone who was an older person who said that the internment of the Japanese was justified. So I don't know about that. The Germans and the Italians weren't interned. So anyways, so that's just so there are other perspectives out there. Anyways, to get back to the idea that, well, it's not all white people, of course, right? Because there was only 50. It was like there's still that 30%, 40% that didn't vote for Donald Trump of white men, right? There's still 40% of white men that didn't vote for Donald Trump. So it's not like it's all white people, but it's a significant chunk. Do I have the racial makeup of the United States? Oh yeah, USA by race. Okay, so this chart here shows you the racial makeup of the United States. So the first one is white, non-Hispanic. And you can see it's white people are by and far the biggest group. Right. The next biggest group is going to be your Hispanic Latinos. But they're like nowhere near the amount of white people. they're nowhere near the amount of white people. Oh, and then way down here, you have black Americans, you have Asian Americans, you have multiracial Americans, you have American Indian, you have Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islanders, but they're all tiny compared to white people. So white people are by and far the biggest group. And they all and a big chunk of them tend to vote for well, a big chunk of them voted for Donald Trump. And they will deny, like a big chunk of them will deny that it has anything to do with race. But all the white people voted for not all the white people, but a lot of white people voted for Donald Trump. And everyone else, except Latino men, which I'll get to, voted for Donald Trump. Now, what makes Latino men like not necessarily a surprising statistic, or like well, okay, so I hear things from Well, the reason why Latino men voted for Trump was because they are against the illegal immigrants as well, because they immigrated legally and it was a lot more difficult. So that's one justification. Another thing is that, remember, Latin America has its own history of slavery and genocide. Right? Like, you hear me harp on the United States a lot of its history of slavery and genocide. You hear me do that a lot. But the United States is not alone in doing this. Like, it's significant to us because we live here and we should know how we got here. We should know how we got here. But the United States isn't alone. Like, there were such things as conquistadors, you know. The conquistadors, the Spanish explorers, who subjugated the native cultures, the native people, and destroyed their culture, like utterly destroyed it, to insert Christianity. Because Christianity, the church, whatever, was the justification for doing everything they did. And they too, like in some places like Brazil, they had slavery. I don't know if they had slavery in Mexico, probably, but like not formalized. I don't know how it went down. I don't know the history of Latin America too well. I don't know hardly at all. But I know that they have racial stratification there, just like we have here in the United States. So I speculate, right? I can only speculate. I speculate that some component of the Trump, of Latino men voting for Trump, some component of that has to do with a kind of white supremacy. So I was having this conversation with a white person who all their friends are conservative, but not this person, except for this person. And so if this person like excised all their conservative friends, they would have no friends. And they would not talk to their neighbors. So in order to like not be completely isolated, this person tolerates conservative friends, quote quote conservative. But yeah, this person is white and American, and acknowledged that the history of the United States includes slavery and genocide, but refused to accept responsibility for it. They refused to accept. They would not accept responsibility for it. They said, I am an American. I own American land. Like, I'm a landowner. I own property in America. I benefited from the United States, from living in the United States. But I disavow any of the benefits of white supremacy. And they claim they never received any benefits for being white. While being born in a white supremacist nation. Because the United States, on some level, is a white supremacist nation. Like, remember, it was born out of slavery and genocide. You can't change that. It doesn't go away. And people can disavow responsibility for it, but it's not true, because if you live here, just by being here, you benefit from it. Like where did the land come from? So I start probing, like, like, where did you get your land? And they said the U.S. government. I said, okay, where did the U.S. government get the land from? And they said, I don't know. Ah! They would not probe farther than that. They would not probe farther than that because they know where it leads to. And they don't want to be responsible for it. They know where it goes. So white people save them, you know, keep themselves clean by not looking too hard and not questioning too hard. Because if it's not your responsibility, then it's not your job to take care of it. And like, what is your job of taking care of it? Like, well, like cleaning yourself of your own like biases. Like me, I even recognize like that I have like unconscious like biases, and they come out and I'm like, holy shit, that was bad, dude. What just happened? You did it automatically. What happened? And so I gotta clean up my stuff. Like, yeah, like it's like built in. Like society builds it into you. Like it's really hard to get it out, but you have to do it. It's no one else's responsibility but your own. To get out these unconscious biases that are built into you by society, that are there automatically from the moment you're born, like as a white person. If you're born as a white person, like you don't even get a chance. You're like immediately, right? Because by virtue of being born a white person, you have all the benefits of like hundreds of years applied to you. Even if you're a poor white person, it may not help you as much, but it doesn't hurt you. That's the difference. Like, no one said that life as a poor white person is easy, or that poor white people don't face discrimination, and you know, that's a whole other discussion about class solidarity, right? We can get into that because at the end of the day, we're all poor people compared to the billionaires who fucking run the country right now. Why? Because white people put them there. So then you have to ask the question: all right, white people. Where what is white? What is white? Where did it come from? What is this thing called white? Can you look? Did you ever look? So, and so I asked this person, what is white? And they say, we came from Canada. I'm like, where did Canada come from? You can keep doing this. And they're like, I don't know. They don't want to. If they don't look back that far, if they don't look if they don't look, then it won't hurt them. And they can disavow it. And without taking responsibility for it, like. Of course, this person also like doesn't adhere to the idea of original sin, because they misinterpret it. They say, well, how can a bad thing that someone did, your dad did, how can that fall on you? How can you be held responsible for something that someone else did? And that's their logic. So therefore, they think that part of the Bible is incorrect. Right? I mean, for them. Okay. But I think that's a fundamental misunderstanding of what that's talking about. And I'm not saying you should punish white people. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying that the sin doesn't go away just, you know, with the person. The sin persists. The benefits of the sin persist. For example, if the father like stole goods from someone else unjustly took goods or things of value from someone else unjustly, right, and then sold those items, and then used it to make his life better, and therefore his family's life better, and then the father like dies. The son can say, well, I'm not the one who stole the goods. I'm not the thief. So why should I be held responsible for something that someone else did? But that's not the point. The point isn't being held responsible for what someone else did. The point is that they received a benefit, that an unjust benefit, and that they continue to receive benefits from that original theft, original sin, so that the son's position is only there because they continue to receive benefits from something that his father did unjustly. It's not like a legitimate like thing, not like it's an unjust benefit because it was stolen, but the son continues to receive benefits from it, even though the son wasn't the one who stole the thing to begin with. So you can see that the son isn't necessarily the one who did the thing, but the son continues to receive benefits from it nonetheless. Therefore, they have a degree of responsibility to make amends because they continue to receive benefits. So, like, white people continue to receive benefits of white supremacy, whether or not they're the ones who actually participated in the original enslavement, because they live in the legacy of it. The legacy of the United States is slavery and genocide. I would say its even current incarnation is genocide of the Palestinian people via Israel. But yeah, that's the legacy of the United States. And from that legacy of the United States came all these benefits that are received by white Americans, like the land they live on, in fact. The very land they live on. Like, how much more material can you get than that? So I'm not saying that the son should be punished for the sins of the father. I'm not saying that, oh, okay, let's take the son and chop off his hands because that's the punishment for thievery, even though the father is the one that did it. No, I'm not saying that. No, that would be foolish. But I think the son has a degree of responsibility to make amends for the original sin that brought him prosperity. So, like, again, what is white even? What is it even? What does it even mean to be white? Like, white's not a color because the very definition of white has changed. Irish people were not considered white at the beginning of the United States. They are now, but they weren't in the beginning. I mean, they weren't considered black either. They were still Europeans. Like, they weren't enslaved. The Irish were indentured servants. They sold themselves into servitude, but they got out. Like, it was not permanent. It wasn't a destiny for them. It wasn't their only station. And yeah, they were mistreated terribly when they were, but not to the degree that happened to black Americans, to the Africans. But yeah, Irish were not white in the beginning. We're not considered white. Germans were really hated by the English. No, they really, yeah, the here I have that. No, where is it? I don't have it. Oh, Benjamin Franklin, Hate versus Immigrants. Yeah, dude, look at this. So Benjamin Franklin wrote a letter to someone. He was writing a letter to someone, and he said, "And since detachments of English from Britain sent to America will have their places at home so soon supplied and increased so largely here, why should the Palatine Boers be suffered to swarm into our settlements, and by herding together establish their language and mannerisms to the exclusion of ours? Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion?" Ah! That's Ben Franklin talking about Germans. Ah! Do you see how white has changed? White is not a fucking thing. It's not a genetic thing. There's no biological basis to white. White is solely socially constructed. It's socially constructed. Whiteness, the idea of white and white supremacy, completely socially constructed. So where did white come from? Where did white come from? Right? It's not like like Ben Franklin didn't think the Germans were white. That's hilarious. I'm gonna make more coffee. Ben Franklin, founding father of the United States, didn't think Germans were white. Like, geez Louise. Anglifying them. Anglo. So I'm thinking I'm seeing a pattern here. Where did white come from? And it seems like Ben Franklin associated Anglo with white. Oh. Did he even see it? He's like, I'm American, motherfucker. You want to Anglify other people. You use the Anglophone, the Anglo world, as your basis of judgment for everything else. Ben Franklin, motherfucker. So yeah, Ben Franklin, founding father, was talking shit about the German immigrants and complaining they're gonna replace the English. Isn't that funny? Because the Germans weren't white. And what is white? Somebody Anglo. Ah! England. Ah! England, Anglo. England. Yeah, you know, check that out, dude. I'm wearing the same fucking sweater for years. I'm so bad at shopping. I should probably leave the house more. Let's see, filters. It's all right. No, not really. Like, it's the green part that's fuzzy, but if I just stay like this, it's okay. Okay. Pardon me. So, where did white come from? England. Anglo. So, it's not something like... It's not something fluid. Like, Ben Franklin was an American, and he considered himself white because he came from England, even though he was American. So white isn't even connected to America. It's connected to England. And what was it used for? It was a way of keeping the indentured servants separate from the slaves. Before the Christianization of the African slaves, the European powers justified their use of slavery by saying it was they could only enslave non-Christian people. They couldn't enslave Christians. Only non-Christian people they can enslave. So they practiced slavery. They just didn't enslave Christians. Well, it didn't take long until the enslaved Africans picked up Christianity. And yeah, they basically had the same, like, a lot of the same material conditions suffered by the slaves were also suffered by the indentured servants. So they had reason to make common cause with each other and rise up against the less numerous slaveholders, enslavers. And they did a lot of times. There are a lot of slave revolts. So in order to keep the population separate, the enslavers devised the concept of whiteness. To say that, oh, well, like, sure, you're an indentured servant, but at least you're not a slave, and we can tell the slaves by the color of their skin. Those people over there, those are at least you're not one of them. And so the indentured servants had a degree of privilege that the enslaved Africans did not have. And by virtue of exploiting that privilege, the enslavers were able to enlist the help of the indentured servants to maintain the institution of slavery. Like, indentured servitude supposedly is no longer in practice, but I bet you it still is, and in another form. Indentured servitude, where you have to where you're exploited and you have less and like no rights. Like, I had an opportunity to go to the United Arab Emirates, And I didn't want to because I've heard his stories about foreigners getting caught up in the legal system there and having no rights. So I'm like, and other people having their passports confiscated so they can't leave. Ah. Oh man. So yeah, I'm like, no. Who knows what would have happened had I gone? Maybe my life would take a totally different trajectory. Who knows, who knows. So yeah, the idea of whiteness is a social construct meant to enforce the institution of privilege. Whiteness, therefore, is nothing more than privilege. Whiteness is privilege. It has nothing to do with your skin color. It has nothing to do with your culture. It has to do with your proximity to privilege. Did I unpack that enough for you? So when we come to Latino men voting for Donald Trump, and I say it's an expression of white supremacy, it's because I'm saying that there's a degree of wanting white privilege there, of Latino men wanting white privilege. And like, yeah. Like me, man, I was raised. My dad was Mexican. He was a Latino man, but I learned from my mom, my white mom, that Latino culture was a bad culture, and that I should emulate white culture instead, which I did, because I was a kid, right? And if you're told, if your mom is constantly saying bad things about Mexicans and Latino culture, then you gotta respond to that. All right. What else do I got here? Whiteness. The idea of whiteness. Let me get some coffee. It's going. It's not done, but it's just about done. Coffee. What would I do without coffee? I would drink tea, and it would be not as much fun. Jimmy's gourmet shit. What else do I got here? Okay, so I'm talking shit about majority of white people who voted for Trump. So my breakdown of people who voted for Trump. You're in one of three camps. There's three camps. One camp, first camp, smallest camp, is that you're rich. And Republican policies help rich people. So you vote Republican. The other camp is that you're a Nazi, a white supremacist, openly white supremacist. You believe in the supremacy of white people. So yeah. And then the last camp is stupid people. People who don't really know. They get their information from Fox News. You know the company that was fined like $700 million because it spread lies about the 2020 election. Do you know that? Fox News, Fox, not even news, Fox Entertainment was fined like over $700 million because it spread lies about Dominion voting system. It said that Dominion voting systems were like hacked or compromised in some way when they were not. And they did so to make money. So Dominion went to court to prove that they were lying, and it was proven that they lied about it and had to pay a bunch of money. So that's the place where a lot of people get their news and who vote for Donald Trump. They get it from a company that was convicted of lying to spread a fraud. They lied to spread the basis for the legitimacy of the January 6th insurrection. By lying about the voting machines, they caused conservatives to get all riled up about it and try to overthrow the government because they lied. So the most important issue for Trump voters was foreign policy, the economy, and immigration. And yeah, for Harris, it was abortion and democracy. So these guys, yeah, I don't know. It was basically a big con job. It was a con job. I'm not saying immigration and foreign policy aren't legitimate reasons to be things to be concerned about, just not in the way you think. I mean, the Republicans tried to rely on Chinese and Russian spies to take down an American president. But that doesn't bother the Republican voters. Like it doesn't. Right? That doesn't bother Republican voters. When you look at it by age and race. So white young voters were split between Harris and Trump. But older than that, it was all the white people voted for Trump. So I wonder what is it about getting older that makes people turn fascist? Okay. And if you look at the black voters, right, they all in a block voted for Harris. So that's why I'm saying is white people versus everyone else, because that's what the data says. Education. When you break it down by education, white women with a college degree voted for Harris. White women with no degree voted for Trump. White men with a graduate degree voted for Trump. I mean, 48 voted for Harris, right? So it's not like overwhelming. But because white people are such a big chunk of society, the little changes equate to big numbers. Okay, white men with no degree overwhelmingly voting for Trump. Voters of color overwhelmingly voting for Harris. It's white people versus everyone else. And what is white? Privilege. It's people fighting for privilege versus people who don't have the privilege. Okay. So here, Biden says it best. White folks are the reason we have institutional racism. There has always been racism in America. White supremacists have always existed and they still exist. This is very, very true. This is very true. Fox News is playing it because they want to make white people angry. Why would you get angry at this? Why would you get angry? What's there to get angry at? Everything in this statement is true. It doesn't matter if it's Joe Biden saying it, or Donald Trump saying it. It's the truth. In fact, look at the latest results. The white racist dude is the one who won the election because of white people. All the white people voted. Not all the white people. Majority of white people voted for him. That's why. And then you'll throw in Latino man. Then I'll say their own form of white supremacy. It's still privilege. Like, do they not know that there was a bipartisan compromise to deal with the border, and Donald Trump ordered the Republicans to kill the bill so that he can have immigration to run on as an issue? And the Republicans did it. They killed the bill. They don't know that. Republicans don't know that. The Latino men, they don't know that. They have no idea. They have no idea. And they're not going to hear it from me because I don't talk to them. They don't listen to this show. I don't hate white people, dudes, but like, it literally is white people versus everyone else in the United States. Most white people. Like, I understand there's a lot of white people who are not on board, but even the white people who are not on board with the Republicans, a lot of them have a hard time dealing with the history of the United States. They can't look there. They can't look. If they look, it will undo everything they believe. So they just don't look. They refuse to. You can't make them. So like, here's the myth. All right, here's one deal, right? Climate scientists. 97% of the climate scientists, the experts, people who spend countless hours studying, learning how to do science, and then applying science by using empirical observations, taking the data and analyzing it to either support or reject a hypothesis. And they've done this hundreds of times, if not thousands of times. And the sum aggregate of all that data points to climate change. So there's scientists who say, yeah, dude, we have climate change. 3% say, no, not climate change, but they're in the tiny minority. Conversely, on Fox News, the vast majority of people represent the 3% view here. Fox News amplifies the 3% of climate deniers. So their audience gets the perspective of the 3% to the exclusion of the vast majority of climate scientists. So Fox viewers will deny that climate change is happening, when the data doesn't lie, dude. It doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. It's been getting hotter. And you can say, well, that's just natural. No, it's not. No, no, no. You can't point to anything that supports that. You have no data that supports it. Nowhere else does it do that. That's all because we're burning carbon and putting it into the atmosphere. That's exactly what it is. And we're destroying the earth. Well, we're destroying life. We're destroying the habitat where we grew up in, like what we were made for. We evolved. It took millions of years to evolve into the form we're in now. Hundreds of millions of years to get to where we are now, to exist in this environment. And now we're changing the environment like instantaneously. Within like 100 years, we're radically altering the environment. We're gonna have to move, in other words, is what I'm saying. Because there will be less places that are hot, that are able to support our life, that we can tolerate. Like, it's gonna suck. We need a new energy source. Alright. So, here's an example of a skewed perspective. So, white people, right? I'm putting a lot of weight on white people. I'm putting a lot of emphasis on white people now. Because white people, well, the majority of them, like, if there's going to be a change, it's not going to come from the minorities. The white people have to change. That's what it is. White people have to change. They have to do the work. And let's look at white people now. Americans overstate the size of minority groups and underestimate the size of most majority groups. Estimated proportions are calculated by averaging weighted responses ranging from 0 to 100%, rounded to the nearest whole percentage. To the question, if you had to guess, what percentage of American adults are da-da-da-da? True proportions were drawn from a variety of sources, including the U.S. Census Bureau, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and polls by YouGov and other polling firms. Okay, so they said, what percentage of Americans do you believe have a household income of over $1 million? The true proportion is like less than 1%. It's less than 1%. But people believe that 20% of Americans are millionaires. So they vastly overestimate the average wealth of Americans. Vastly overestimate it. They don't think wealth is nearly as concentrated as it is. Then you ask them, how many Americans how many Americans do you believe, what proportion, are transgender? And people believe that it's 21% of Americans. 1 in 5 Americans is transgender. That's what they believe. In actuality, it's 1% of Americans. 1 in 100. Big difference between 1 in 5 and 1 in 100. But yeah, Americans have a very, very skewed perspective. And because of this skewed perspective, any attempt to protect this group of people is met with backlash, because they believe, oh, you're gonna, like, the number of transgender people are way bigger than what it actually is. So they believe transgender people have an undue influence on society, which is, like, not true at all. But that, you know, they don't deserve to be persecuted. Like, even if you don't agree with their lifestyle, they don't deserve to get persecuted. You have no, like, it has no impact on you. Okay, then you ask Americans, how many household incomes are over $500,000, $500,000? Americans believe that 26%, about a quarter of Americans, have household incomes of over $500,000. When in actuality, it's only 1% of Americans who have a household income above $500,000. So people overestimate how much the wealth is spread around. It's really, really, really concentrated at the top. Then you ask them, how many Americans do you believe are Muslim? And they think 30 or 27% are Muslims. A huge chunk of Americans are Muslims, when in actuality, it's only 1%. So people have this undue fear of Muslims, because they vastly overestimate the number of Muslims in the United States. Same with Native Americans. Native Americans are only 1% of the population, but they believe are actually 27%. It's like outrageous the how far off people's ideas are of the racial makeup of the United States. Like there's only 2% Jewish people, but they believe it's 30%. Like it gets ridiculous, right? And then you get down to Hispanics. That's a big one, right? Hispanics. Because I was talking with this person who firmly believed in her, in completely believed would never gonna change their mind that Hispanics were going to overtake white people and control the United States. They firmly believed it, absolutely in every sense of it. They believed that Hispanics were going to take over the United States and outnumber white people. And so when you look at this here, this person probably has the wrong idea of how many Hispanic people are in the United States. Like most Americans believe that Hispanics make up about almost 40%, when really they make up 17%, less than half. Less than half that. So anyways, people's perceptions are all messed up, is what I'm saying. And because they have messed up perceptions, they support messed up policies. You see this machine working, go in action. Come on, work. Do something. Oh, I see bones coming. It's coming, it's happening. See, bones getting there, turned into bone dust, shot and get shot 3 into that one. When it fills up with 9, it'll pump out the bone block. Ha 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 ha. That's how this works. It's beautiful. You make one thing and you can attach it to other things and make a machine out of it. A machine that never ever breaks down, never wears out. It just goes forever. Okay. Da-da-da! So, remember, like, understand, like, it's a class thing. It's class. Like, yeah, race is important. Race is important, but it's also class. That's why poor white people actually are close, have common cause with minorities, because poor white people and minorities are oppressed by the same thing, which is oligarchy. So these are 2 billionaires, and Donald Trump is saying the poor brown people can't come in. But Elon Musk says, oh, but if you're a poor brown person that can do an engineering job, then you can come in, but you're not a full citizen. You have to work for less wages, lower wages than what I would pay for an American who is already here. Because he doesn't want to pay the American who's already there. Elon Musk would rather pay the the H-1B visa holder guy less money, half the money, and then he will pocket the rest and become even more rich and powerful. Because they don't actually care about Americans. They don't care. They're using white supremacy to make themselves richer. That's the idea. That's the idea. White supremacy doesn't actually care about white people. It cares about the oligarchs. What's up, priest dude? How are you? Looking good, looking good. Okay, what else is going on? Real quick, this is important. Prices from January 1st, 2025. This is important to know how much all this is, because Donald Trump got elected based on the promise that he would lower prices. After he got elected, he said he cannot lower prices. But I just want to keep this handy as a reference, so that we have something to look back on in the future to judge how much Donald Trump actually affected prices, because that's what he promised to do. Trump Cybertruck driver left behind rant praising Trump and Musk, slamming Democrats. So the dude was a Nazi. There was a guy who blew himself up in front of Trump Towers in a Cybertruck that he rented. He got someone else's truck and blew it up. And yeah, he was a right winger. But Donald Trump tried to use that to scapegoat immigrants, because he's a white supremacist. And Trump voters are stupid, if not rich or Nazis. I mean, you can be all three. What is this? What am I doing? Okay. Okay, the sheriff said Tesla CEO Elon Musk helped the investigation by having the truck unlocked after it auto-locked in the blast and giving investigators video of the suspect at charging stations along its route from Colorado to Las Vegas. Hey, how come the truck automatically locks when it explodes and bursts into flames? Like, what if you're inside and it blows up? Now you can't get out. Because the truck auto-locked. Like, it's a death trap? Okay. Hey, how come Elon Musk can remotely unlock any Tesla vehicle? Right? Like, why is it that Elon Musk has control of a vehicle you supposedly own and bought and paid for? That, like, is it really yours if the CEO can lock it at any time? Or, hey, how come Elon Musk has access to security footage of you charging your car? Like, are all the Tesla stations recording you? Like, and why does he get to look at it? Like, shouldn't it go to your security, dude, and not to you? Like, why do you get to look at it? See, this is kind of scary, dude. Why are we giving so much power to this guy who's a bad guy? Like, My view of homeless people changed forever when I learned that more than half of them were foster kids who aged out of the system and were left with no family or resources. So, if you ever had to move back in with your parents stage, you have no business judging homeless people. The only difference between you and them is you were privileged enough to have a fallback. What is that? Oh, there it is. Share voters who say they have confidence in the accuracy of the 2024 election vote count. In October of 2024, Republicans believed that only 24% of Republicans had faith in the American election. But by December of 2024, suddenly that 24% changed to 64%. 64% of Republicans suddenly believed that the election was valid, that the vote count was valid. Gee, that's weird. It's almost as if their belief in the validity of the vote had nothing to do with the actual validity of the vote and everything to do with the outcome. So that, like, if you cheated to make that outcome, it would be okay for them because it was their preferred outcome. Conversely, the Democrats, does that hold true for the Democrats? To an extent, but not really. So before, in October 24, 71% of Democrats had confidence in the accuracy of the vote. That dropped 11 points by December of 2024. That only 60% of Democrats believed in the validity of the vote. So it's a drop. So some percentage of Democrats don't actually base their belief on the vote on the validity of the vote, but more on the preferred outcome. But the majority of them did base their belief on the accuracy of the validity of the vote and not on the outcome. Different from the Republicans, whose primary concern was the outcome. They don't actually care if it's valid or not. They just want their preferred outcome. Musk. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have energized the German far right. Germany's AfD, with its own plan for mass deportations, is hoping to replicate the MAGA movement's success in upcoming elections. So Elon Musk is trying to help out far right movements in other countries because he's a Nazi. So where's my German friends? Donald Trump asked a fawning Mar-a-Lago crowd on election day before flashing a grin and a thumbs up for a photo with a group of young men. The German friends in question: Fabrice Ambrosini, a former politician forced to resign after a video surfaced of him doing a Hitler salute. Leonard Jaeger, a far-right influencer who has promoted the Reichsbürger movement, an extremist group behind a failed coup attempt in 2022. And Philipp Anders Rau, a candidate for the Alternative for Deutschland, Germany's far-right party, i.e. Nazi. Giddy with excitement, shoulder to shoulder with Trump, they cheered, "Fight, fight, fight," echoing Trump's post-assassination attempt rallying cry, before repeating it in German. "Kampf, Kampf, Kampf," fist pumping. So Donald Trump is getting all buddy-buddy with other Nazis from other countries. So here's Elon Musk promoting ADF. He's saying only ADF can save Germany. ADF is Nazis. He's saying only the Nazis can save Germany. Elon Musk. Why would Elon Musk say that? Well, remember, Elon Musk came from South Africa, apartheid South Africa. He made his money, his family made his money before apartheid ended. So he benefited directly from the exploitment of Africans. He got his fortune, family fortune. His dad made his money from the exploitation of Africans. Apartheid. So, the ADF's central pledge is to counteract the so-called Great Replacement, a conspiracy theory that claims white Europeans or Americans are victims of a plot by non-white immigrants to replace them and poison their societies. Wait, weren't we just reading, didn't I just read a letter from Benjamin Franklin saying the exact same thing about the German people? That they were coming in to replace the English people and poison their societies? I mean, this idea is not something brand new that Elon Musk just picked up. It's been in the Americas since the beginning. Since the beginning. It was the inspiration for shooters to take up arms and target Muslim victims in Christchurch, Jews in Pittsburgh, black people in Buffalo, and gay people in Bratislava. It's the thing that brings together the far right in multiple countries. What's the thing that brings far right together in multiple countries? The Great Replacement Theory. The idea that non-white people are coming to replace the white people. This person I talked to repeated the thing. They believed that Hispanics were going to replace the white people and take control of the United States. I could not change their mind. I could not change their mind because their perspective of the number of Hispanic people was probably really wrong. They believed probably like 50% of people in America were Hispanic. Like outrageous. But yeah, the far right, the Nazis, all have this idea that somebody is going to come and do to them what they already did to other people in the United States. Because the United States literally came to replace the Native Americans here. Literally. So now remember, the sins of the father are the sins of the son. The idea of original sin. Like, you couldn't be here if it wasn't for that sin. Therefore, you're still, like, the fact that you exist here means that you're connected to it, whether you want to be or not. No matter. Yes, it's repugnant. Yes, it's terrible. But that doesn't diminish its connection to you as a white person. Okay. This is a funny meme. The USA be like, the cartels suck. My brother in Christ, you gave them the money and weapons. True. True. Where do you think these cartels get their guns from? That they're able to challenge the Mexican military. Where do you think they get the weapons from? The United States. Where do you think they get the money from? The United States. Like, the United States is the one that arms and funds them. I don't need it. I don't need it. Get out of here. Okay, wait. Go here. Wait. Okay. Huh. Zionists and Nazis. So, Israel is basically committing genocide in Gaza. If you're gonna have moral consistency, you gotta condemn Israel for its genocide. I mean, it comes back down to settler colonialism. And I think that's why the neoliberal order fell, as represented by Joe Biden. Because at its heart, neoliberalism is a continuation of settler colonialism. Capitalism requires settler colonialism. I don't know if it requires settler colonialism. That's not true. I don't know if it requires it, but Joe Biden was willing to sacrifice democracy in the United States for Israel, for an ethno state. So the biggest chunk of people who didn't vote in this election, the biggest voter block was the block that didn't bother to vote. Like maybe they couldn't vote because of voter suppression, but probably they didn't vote just because they were tuned out. Like I know two young people who just didn't bother voting because they thought like it doesn't matter. So yeah, like when you run a Republican-like candidate, like you're not going to energize people to vote. Kamala Harris, like, was like she campaigned with Republicans, Liz Cheney. The family that brought us the Iraq War and Guantanamo and that prison, I don't forget the name. That prison where we tortured people. She's not helping you because she believes in democracy. She's helping you because she wants to take over the Republican Party. Okay. I said my stuff. Not that it matters. Not that it matters. All right. Peace.